Go ahead, Molly.
Hi, everyone. I'm Molly Murphy. I co direct Working Films.
And I'm Anna Lee, and I'm the other co-director.
And Working Films, we're a 20-year-old nonprofit organization that uses documentary film and visual media to advance social justice and environmental protection. We've resourced nonprofit organizations and grassroots groups to use films as a way to broaden their own audiences and reach their goals. Much of our work in the last, since 2013, really has been very much movement centric and orienting with the work of organizations working for change. We work in tandem and kind of in between documentary media makers and change leaders. And the Institute, Putting Films to Work, is really building on our longtime work, doing that resourcing.
And so, this quote here is a quote from Reverend Dr. William J. Barber, who many of you may know from the North Carolina NAACP, and now co-chair of the Poor People's Campaign nationally. And they've been one of our key partners in work in North Carolina and beyond. But I feel like this quote from him just kind of like summarizes what we really believe about the power of film and documentary storytelling to inspire people to action. So we're excited today to tell you a little bit more about this opportunity for organizations in Georgia to learn more about how you can leverage documentary film and other documentary media in your work. So we will jump right into that. We're going to kind of take you through really 4 parts of the webinar today. First, to tell you more about the elements of the Putting Films to Work Training Institute, exactly what all that will entail. Talk a little bit about eligibility and participation, cover the application process, and then take any questions that you all might have. So what is Putting Films to Work? It is going to be a program for 8 nonprofit organizations in Georgia who will spend 1 year really learning how you can put films to work. Our focus is going to be primarily on how to leverage existing documentary media, how to identify, as our slide before said, the right media at the right time to move the dial on issues that you're working on. And it's really going to be all about helping you learn how to put documentary in service of your own work and your own goals. Will be based largely in us getting to know you as an organization and helping you strategize about how film and other documentary media can be woven into the day-to-day of your work in ways that you might not even expect. So specifically, these are the elements that the program will entail. It's going to be in the calendar year of 2019, so it'll run for a year. Once we selected the 8 organizations, our year-long work together as a cohort will start off with a 2-day training institute. Right now, we are looking at holding that towards the end of March or beginning of April of 2019. And during that, these are some of the highlights of what that will entail. First off, it'll be a chance for the organization selected to get to know one another and to get to know us at Working Films as trainers and mentors. So we'll spend a lot of time of just kind of trying to understand what each other's missions and programs are. And for us, that's about how we can then help think about how to better serve you as we go. We'll do case studies and focus on best practices from our 20 years of experience using documentary media to advance social change. We'll also have additional mentors and allies in the field who will come in and be part of that training institute. We'll watch some films together and experience other mediums that we work with in addition to film are virtual reality and sometimes photography exhibits. And so we'll look at existing media and help you understand more about how you can find the right films that can support your work. And then really get into the heart of what we're going to be doing kind of coming out of that institute is we'll begin planning for incorporating film into your work in 2019. So based on what we learn about you and your organization, and the sort of best practices that you learn while you're there, we'll start to lay out plans for looking at, oh, we have these programs coming up this year, and these are ways that we could see film events or online use of short videos fitting into that existing programming. So that's kind of the Institute. It's going to be like a kickoff, really, for what is then the rest of our work for the year, which is this ongoing training and support. So each selected organization will have individual support from Working Films through the rest of 2019 as you create documentary film events. So that might be, a screening series that you decide to set up in advance of around a particular organizing goal that you have. Or it might be, I have a briefing that I want to do for some decision makers, and showing them some film clips could be really effective. And we might think about how to plan that out. But you'll have ongoing support from our team in identifying those opportunities, creating partnerships with filmmakers and other organizations, with event planning and promotion, evaluation of those events. We don't actually have it noted here, but we'll also have raised funds so that we can pay for some of the expenses of those kinds of things. So there'll be funding to support screening rates to be paid to filmmakers, to support some costs for things like venue rental or other costs associated with film events. So that's another really great part of being in the program. And then we'll also do regular meetings, some virtually and some in person, with the other groups that are part of the cohort, to help share learning and really seed collaboration among the organizations, in hopes that maybe, folks say, oh, we're going to, we have this idea for this kind of couple of film events. Maybe it fits in with the work of a couple of the other organizations, and you might partner. That's certainly not something that we're going to mandate, but we always like to create space for that kind of
yeah, and part of what we found just in our years of working with documentary media is that it has this unique outcome of bringing organizations into partnership through the use of films in ways that have lasted long past different screening events or tours that organizations have been in partnership around.
So, and that, again, that individual support will go on throughout calendar year of 2019. And then these other three items are additional, some smaller elements of the program, but also important to note. So we'll be using input from the cohort to help plan a 4-part film series in Atlanta. This is an extension of the Arthur M. Blank Family Foundation film series. They're generous supporters of this Putting Films to Work Institute, along with Participant Media and another individual donor from Georgia. And so we are going to be, using sort of the wisdom of the cohort to help us inform the film series for the year, kind of expand on that existing program that they have. We'll also be really trying to foster some conversation around this idea of accountable storytelling. In the world of documentary film and media, there are a lot of conversations and push for change happening around, who tells whose stories, and thinking about what it means to be accountable to the communities in which films are being made, and also to be accountable communities in the way that films are then used and distributed. And so we look forward to, making space for dialogue around those issues with the cohort. And then finally, we do expect, to do some consultation on potential new media creation. I want to say that the primary focus of this cohort is around how to leverage existing documentary media and training you in how to identify stories that resonate with what's going on in the community. But we imagine that some of you might either have had some experience with or be interested in the idea of creating short content on your own or in collaboration with a creative partner. And we will certainly make some space to answer questions about that and talk about that over the course of our time together. Right. We are going to now go into talking about application and eligibility. But before I do that, I do want to give you a chance, if you have any questions just about the program itself and the content of the program, to ask any questions you might have. So I'm going to everyone was muted, but I'm going to unmute everyone. So feel free, if you have a question, to go ahead and shout that out.
Sorry, I don't have any questions right now.
Cool, thanks. All right, if there's no questions, I'll keep going. All right, I'm going to mute everyone back again now. Okay, so eligibility and participation. Okay, so just to reiterate, this is a program for Georgia nonprofits, so organizations with offices in Georgia who are working for social, racial, or economic justice. That, is fairly broadly defined, but again, and you must be a 501c3 to apply. Another requirement is that you as an organization identify kind of one lead participant who's going to be the primary point of contact with us at Working Films and to lead this work on your team. So because it's a year-long commitment, we want you to try to find someone who is appropriate for you on your staff, and for depending on how your organization is structured, that might be a communications person, it might be a lead organizer, it might be someone who's responsible for education. It kind of depends on exactly what your organization and how it's structured, but we're just asking, you'll see in the application, ask you to identify kind of a lead participant. Additionally, just so you know, for the initial 2-day training, that lead participant would need to come, and then one additional staff member, ideally someone in a leadership position, would accompany them. And then finally, we're really also just, looking for folks who are interested and committed to this idea of using film as a tool for cultural organizing and making shifts. So it's not necessary that you have prior experience doing that by any means. But as you'll see on the application, we just want to hear why you're interested in and excited about this as sort of another tool in your toolbox. Okay, and a little bit more specifically, these are the kind of 4 things that we're going to be looking at as we evaluate the applications that come in. So again, demonstrated enthusiasm in using film in your work. Again, it's not a previous requirement. It's not a requirement that you've done this previously, but just want to know why you're interested and excited. And capacity of your time capacity of your staff to devote the time to the learning and practice opportunities offered by the cohort. So again, that would be attendance at this 2-day training in late March, early April. It would be having that ongoing committed staff person to engage with us over the rest of 2019 and lead film events and incorporation of your learning with your staff. Third is just alignment of the organization's mission with the focus areas of social, economic, and racial justice. And fourth is organization's commitment to accountability and authentic representation of the communities that it works with and serves. So, we're interested in basically like how kind of your personal experience as people who work in the organizations connect to the issue that you're working on and the communities that you're serving. So this is just the final details on applying. The applications are due on December 15th at 11:59 p.m. We will notify selected organizations around February 1st, that first week of February of 2019. And to submit your application, you should go to puttingfilmstowork.org, where you can read a little bit more about the different elements of the program and find the application. And just sort of a technical note, the application is embedded into that the website And it does not have a feature where you can save your work. So we highly recommend that you write your application in a Word document or other place and then copy and paste into this when you're ready to submit. I think that's kind of hits all of what we wanted to cover for folks. But again, I'll unmute everyone and I'm happy to take any questions that you might have. I think I'm getting everyone unmuted here. Maybe. Seem to not want.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Does anybody have any questions?
So I have a question. I'm wondering if this, if the program is it for someone who's not familiar with using film, or for someone who is familiar with using film for fundraising?
Yeah, it's absolutely, if you don't have any experience, that's not a problem at all. We want to know if we ask on the application, if you have, can you tell us what that has looked like? But most importantly, we just want to know that you're interested and kind of why you're interested in it. So absolutely, even if you've never done anything with film, in your work before, absolutely, it's for you.
So more for community type organizations, is it something that would work for an organization that kind of, for people like feeding the hungry, or, literacy for school children? Like, what type of organizations would benefit from the program?
Yeah, there's definitely not a stipulation around whether it's a direct service organization or an advocacy organization or one focused on community organizing. What it's intended to do is use film as a way to help you advance your mission. And in direct service efforts, a lot of that is building a broader awareness of the work that you're doing, building audience support. So it really, is a program going to work both for direct service to other organizations working at different levels. So it's certainly open to different types of nonprofit organizations.
Okay.
Any other? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I could just share our work. We lead organizing campaigns that include partnerships in among a variety of organizations that are doing everything from direct service to advocacy. And it works really well. Just, issues are complex and, multi-layered, and there are different points of intersection for working with different stakeholders. And so it's actually, I think, crucially important that we have people working in different ways for change. And it's a real value add, I think, also among the organizations participating. That's something that we've seen in a lot of our work as folks that might be working around the economy and might be working directly with policy groups, but also working in partnership with food banks and with those that are working around food security for students. And also in our environmental work, where we might have environmental, actual like scientific experts working with those that are dealing with public health among affected residents. So I think it's an asset if we have a variety of different kinds of organizations. And then again, it's a pretty broad focus area of social, economic, and racial justice.
Any other questions?
I'm just curious, is this the first cohort for this program?
It is. It's the first time that we've done this particular model of, training organizations in a particular state. We've done a lot of different kinds of training over the years as an organization. We've trained filmmakers in kind of our model and best practices of how to leverage film. And for them, it's been about how to partner with organizations. And we're currently working right now with another cohort of organizations working on housing justice issues nationally. But this particular model of focusing in a state and serving only in nonprofit organizations is new for us. So we're really excited to build on all our past training experience and start this in Georgia.
Mm-hmm. And we do, I will say though, it builds on a state level emphasis that Working Films has, that since about 2013, we have had a programmatic emphasis in working across states. And you know, if a particular issue is resident in, you know, 14 states that are affected by coal ash pollution, but having concentrated efforts across one state, seeing that so many times policy, regulations, and even just culture is happening across a state is a really effective way to work. So it does work on that, but we've never done a year-long cohort program. So this is the first, and we do hope it's something that will continue at Georgia beyond just this 1 year.
Sounds very cool.
Any other questions? All right. Well, if not, then thank you so much for taking time to be on. If you do have any other questions, or know anyone else who wasn't able to make this call, we're going to post the link up on the website so that people can access it and watch this. But we're also certainly available for questions. You can find any of our contact information just at workingfilms.org or puttingfilmstowork.org. But we're happy to take questions via phone call or email as well. And so that for me, that's Anna Lee and Molly Murphy.
Mm-hmm.
And our contact info is on our workingfilms.org website. But again, thank you so much. Again, reminder, the application deadline is December 15th, and you get the application at puttingfilmstowork.org.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Thanks everybody for being
Thank
on.
you. Thank you. Thank you.